Okey-doke.
Good evening, everybody. It's February 9th at 5 o'clock, and I'd like to call the Sewer Commission to order in the town of Lunenburg. Now, before we start, in accordance to the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting in the Sewer Commission is being conducted remotely, is being recorded, and the recording can be found on Lunenburg Access Channel or on YouTube within 48 hours. I, the chairman, Dave McDonald, will do a roll call for the parties to make sure that we're all present and we can hear from them. As I call your name, please say here. Mike DeBacchus,
Here.
John Reynolds,
Here.
Brett Ramsden,
Here.
Kyle Luck will be absent, Rob Oliver,
Here.
Barbara LaFave,
Here.
Jane Ranley. Hey, Jane, you can say here if you like. Jane, just let you know she does talk. And,
Yeah.
has a good voice, so want everyone to hear it. Did I say John Reynolds?
Yes, you did.
John? Okay.
And I
Sorry.
said here.
Okay. The town of Lunenburg, in response to the COVID-19, is currently following the guidance from the Lunenburg Board of Health, Massachusetts, Department of Public Health, and CDC regarding the virus and the steps communities can take to prevent the spread. All town facilities are open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and by appointment outside those hours. Before I move on, is that still the case? Are we still open
No.
now, or is it's all by
No, I
appointment?
am going to change it. I apologize. We are still closed and open by appointment only.
Okay, but I know the new governor's guidelines are probably changing. So I don't know if Heather's going to be following that as of today, I think, or tomorrow or something. All town facilities will be open, blah, blah, blah. In accordance to the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, all public meetings are being conducted remotely. An order of which you can find posted on the town website or on the COVID-19 informational page. Access through the town manager's webpage allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so long as remote public access is afforded so that the public can follow along in deliberations of the meetings. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. Before we start, I'd like to see if there's any announcements. Bob, do you have anything?
I don't have any right now, Dave.
Okay, Rob, do you have any announcements?
No, I don't.
Okay, and neither do I. We'd like to go into the current business, which is the FY22 budget, and we'd like to just say hi to Dave Passios from the Finance Committee. Dave, thank you for stopping by, and your input's very important. So this would be great if you have anything, just raise your hand.
Thank you for the acknowledgement.
No problem. So let's do the review. We talked about the budgets last week. Some of our numbers have been affected from the decisions that we made last week. So I'd like to have Bob, if you can put that on the screen, and we're just going to go over it like we did last week. I don't think we have to go through each line item because we all know what they are, but if you have any questions at all, just stop and let us know, because this is very important for us. And I'm very excited of the way the budget's working out. So Bob, let's go through the, and Dave, this is going to be our presentation at the town, just so you know.
Okay.
Bob, go ahead.
Excuse me. All right. The changes since our meeting last Thursday. I did get the input from Karen to rename under expenditures instead of the miscellaneous, which is kind of a red flag. We're just going to call it for now other departmental expenses. So that's just a verbiage change. We have put the capital transfer from retained earnings under that category. I had it somewhere else, and this is where Karen thought it should be. So it does appear in under expenditures and reflected just as part of the retained earnings appropriation. This one does not show necessarily the other changes in that summary. The changes that were made from last Thursday. We waived the grease trap permit fees under the revenue section. And so that is now at 0. We increased engineering expenses to 20,000 to allow for possibly a pump station evaluation to be done. And then under the Lemonster, again, in the other departmental expenses, the Lemonster usage, we did bump up to 500K, which was an increase of 125,000 over what we had, just based on the fact that we're going over to total flows. We don't know, so we're estimating 125,000 a quarter for now until we get a good handle on how it's going to go. It increased the deficit from what we had to a minus 179,692, which I think is right
Your bar-
here.
Okay, there you go. Can you scroll that down? There you go.
Yep.
Thank
Is
you.
it? Okay, 179,692. And then we've got betterment costs, well, the debt service versus estimated revenue is a deficit as well. So the two of those added together is 301, 113.71. And then we have our transfers to the OPEB trust and
Okay, you froze up.
capital reserve, which is always the 3% of the revenues figure. So the total appropriation from retained earnings would be 332,699.14 in this proposal. Okay.
All right, let's stop right there. Hey, guys, I know Bob was going kind of fast. Does anyone have any questions so far of what we did and how those numbers from last week reflect on this one, looking at what we have here in front of us?
No,
Mike,
If we could make one comment.
I can't hear you, Rob. Can you speak up?
Yes, Dave Passios, Dave.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry, you have to
Sorry
speak
about
up, David.
Yeah, I guess I gotta be closer to the mic here. Excuse me. Just as a personal comment, I think might be advantageous to be ready to give a quick breakdown of what those retained earnings, I'm sorry, not that one, other departmental expense lines are for the presentation, because I know a number of members of the finance committee see a number of 800,000 and they'd like to have a little bit of a breakdown of that, not necessarily in this spreadsheet, but maybe just a quick explanation of what that dollar amount is during the
Okay.
presentation.
Yeah, and you've been there, I think every year, not every year, but in the last year. I will hand out the normal paperwork with the descriptions and the summary. So you will receive a paper copy for sure of all the those figures.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, how about from the board? Anybody have questions? And Dave, if you're gonna speak up, I know the ocean behind you is kind of loud, so I understand that. Okay, anyone else have questions on the board?
I don't.
Okay, Bob, go ahead.
That was it on the, I mean, that's what I have to present for the budget at this point. So,
All right, so I want to go back to one more thing. I know last week we told our DPW director that we're going to commit to fund our maintenance plan. And by doing so, we said we're going to take $100,000 out of retained earnings, which I still feel strongly about doing. The numbers that you have on the retained earnings, if you're wondering why it went from 120 to, was it 300,000, Bob?
yes, right.
Is because of a couple of things. One is we're adding in the Leominster, the unknown with Leominster for the rate increase. We still plan on talking this year. So even though the retained earnings says 300, I don't think we're going to use that. Rob, what does your gut tell you?
I think I was planning conservatively, so I don't think the whole thing will be applied, but we have to be sure. And it's could all depend on the amount of precipitation we get this spring and summer. So yeah, it's my gut feeling is we probably won't need it all, but I needed to plan for it.
No, and I think you all did a good job on that. I do think, I hate running a business with this kind of a budget. I think we have to get this donkey off our back, sit down with Leominster this year and find out exactly what we're going to be paying. Either good news or bad news, but at least we'll budget it. I mean, that's what I want to do. Again, I know we're still playing with a moving target, but I think with the cooperation of Leominster and looking at how we can fix the Whalum area with either a grant or cooperation with Leominster, I think we'll be okay. Does any board member have any questions on this part of the budget?
I don't question, just agreeing with what you and Rob are saying. And, you know, part of the reason for the 100,000 in capital expenditures is to see if we can get that Leominster number down. Just one of the reasons. So
Well,
I
keep,
think it was a good decision.
no, absolutely, John, thank you. And that's one of the good things about doing the planning our maintenance plan is that hopefully we're gonna start seeing some kind of return on some of the issues that we have.
Right. I mean, I don't want to see us having to do that year after year after year, but if we can get our hands around the I think we might be able to be less concerned about that Leominster number.
Yeah, but you know what? We still like to look at it and try to get it fixed.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But I mean, if we go, which we're gonna be going into the maintenance issues pretty soon. But I think the budget's a good budget. Barbara, Rob, thank you for your input this year. I know it's very aggressive, probably more aggressive than any other sewer commission that has been done. I think it's the right decision. Anyone else have any feedback about that, or we'll move on?
I think it's the right decision.
Thank you.
We
Brett.
need to have,
Now, this all fun stuff happens on March 11th is when we sit down and make our presentation to the finance committee like we did last year. And again, Dave is here he's representing Dave Pastios tonight, but his input was very important to me we really want to knock this one out of the park and let people know that, hey, we're here for them and trying to build a better service for everybody. So March 11th, if you can remember that, we'll get the information as it goes out. The next one, any comments on the budget discussion before we move on? Okay. The next one is the Fitchburg Sewer Ordinance requiring changes and regulations. I know we have a little commission working on that. Why don't you take it over?
Yeah, it was both Brett and John received all the information, and I think upon quick review, John requested a little bit more of an extension. Originally at the last meeting, we discussed having an extension through 3/1. And it was John's impression and opinion that we probably will need longer. There are lots of regulations to look through. So we did go to council to have him help compose a letter requesting that extension of Fitchburg.
Okay.
John, do you want to?
Sure. I mean, the reason I requested the additional time is, I think Barbara mentioned this at the last meeting that, and I'm not criticizing Leominster, if it, had been redlined, it'd be a lot easier, but it's just multiple pages of yellow, and to really go through and make sure that we understand and incorporate their changes, I think it just requires a lot more detailed reading than I originally thought. I mean, and Brett, you and I need to get together and talk about this, the best way to tackle it. I have gone through all the definitions. That's the easy part.
right, I saw that.
But maybe we could talk in the next couple of days about a way to tackle this.
Sounds like a plan. And yeah, I
Okay.
mean, we had 30 days from the 11th of January and we learned last week,
Right. So
which is day
And
after
it-
tomorrow. So
it might not. I know, Rob, I think you mentioned that you had read through it. Maybe ultimately the changes won't be that great, but it just, when I looked at it closer, it's a lot of yellow pages.
it
John,
sure is.
I haven't gone through it. I started
Okay.
to look at it and I think I got through the definitions. So yeah, there's more work to be done for sure.
Right. Okay.
And just so,
All right, go ahead, Bob.
so you know, as the order of events is that once we have a draft basically of changes that John and Brett have presented, before we go and make it official, it goes back to Fitchburg to have their approval. And then we'll come back and do a couple public hearings in order to change the regulations as required. So, you know, we'll look at it, then it goes to Fitchburg, then it comes back. So,
When do you
It's a
expect,
process.
when do we expect approval from Fitchburg or a letter back from Fitchburg?
well, I don't know. It depends on what John and Brett discover and how many changes we make to our regs. They have
No,
the
no,
current copy of our regs.
No, Barbara, go
the
ahead, Dave.
extension. Yeah, the extension. Did they okay the extension yet?
He was taking it to his own commission, and he was actually very much in favor of it, sees the good reason for the extension, so he was going to promote it to them, but he has to get their approval.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got the same situation, John, as we got here. They
Yeah.
want to do it right, so. Okay, good. So if there's not a meeting, but if there's a date, if you want to send that out to the commission, let us know that Fitchburg approved the extension, that would be nice.
Okay, yep.
Any
Thank
other
you, Barbara.
questions on this? No question? Okay.
Can I go back to the budget just for a second? I don't know
Yeah.
if we should have a vote that we want to put that forward, and it is what is going to go before the FinCom.
I don't want to talk about budgets. I'm afraid of the, no, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I didn't know if we should have that as a vote, and I can forward it to Heather saying that the commission has voted. This is what we plan to come to the FinCom with.
Is it? Are we done with the budget, you guys think? Do you want to look at it one more?
I don't
time?
think we're gonna make any changes between now and the 11th.
I don't think so, but
Unless
I don't-
something comes to mind as we continue on with this meeting.
why don't we vote on it then at the end of the meeting? Can we do that, Bob?
Okay,
That's fine.
I mean, you guys have a copy of the budget finance? And
I
Dave, you can look at our minutes online if you want. It's not the minutes. You can look at the budget online, I think, Dave. Is that paperwork online, Barb, or no?
No, but it's been sent to all the commissioners.
Sorry, Dave. But anyways, if you guys think about it, let's give it a little bit of thought, and at the end of the meeting, we'll make a
Okay.
vote on that.
All right, thank you.
Would that be a vote or just a recommendation? I don't know if it'd be a vote, would it?
yeah, I don't ever recall voting on that before, but I think it'd be good to have all of us in agreement that this is what goes to the FinCom.
Either way, either way, okay. All right, the good stuff, the maintenance plan.
Hmm,
I know the commission has submitted, well, a commissioner has submitted his ideas for what the maintenance plan should be. And Rob, I know you came in kind of at a bad time. We were just hiring new outsourcing companies, and well, I don't have to tell you everything that we did here as a commissioner over the last few months. The maintenance plan is very important to the town, to our business, and we got to sit down and come up with something. But it's very rarely that we fund a maintenance plan until we agree on what that plan is going to be. But we all have an idea, and I strongly recommend, and we can hold this off now until the budget season is always a pain, as we all know. But we're all the way through that. So I think, guys, at the next meeting, which will be the 29th, Bob,
23rd.
23rd, we got to seriously start looking at this maintenance plan and giving Rob some suggestions, and Rob, vice versa, if you can make some recommendations. But just a quick hit, I was coming down Leominster Road today, and of the sewer covers on Leominster Road were all like that. I mean, I'm sure you might have saw it as well. But again, I know sewer covers are part of it. But I think myself personally, I'm going to rely on your expertise to help us through with the maintenance plan as well. And again, I'll open this up to other board members if they want to talk about it. And you know what, Mike, I'm not going to use you first. So we'll start with John tonight. John, do you have any comments about the maintenance plan?
Yeah, we need one. See, did you say that we're gonna be discussing it in more detail at the next meeting?
Yeah,
Okay.
we got to start taking it and giving Rob some direction.
Right. You know, to be honest, I have not spent as much time on that as I should have. So I really don't have too much to offer between now and the next, well, hopefully by the next meeting, I will have delved into it a little
Okay.
more. But I think, as you said, I'm gonna really value Rob's input on this stuff.
you know, on the maintenance plan itself, we have different categories that we gotta look at.
Right.
One of them is I&I. The
Yep.
other one is maintenance of pump stations. Which ones would make the biggest impact for the biggest bucket first? And Rob, Rob, I'll let you answer that one. But it could be the I&I.
Yeah.
But again, there's only so much that we can do, but why don't you take a few minutes and explain?
Yeah, so I've spent some time, I've been through the maintenance plan. I have my own comments. I'd like to get the commissions as a whole and put them all together and have that discussion. But in my review also of the I&I report that you had prepared by Woodard and Curran, which basically put together all the information previous to that and summarized some things and made some recommendations. I think my immediate plan, and I think the best bang for our buck, is some specific I&I items. I don't have them in front of me. They're in the report, and I'd highlighted them. And so that's part of the budget planning is, some of the capital money I want to put towards that. There were some very specific things that we can address that are relatively inexpensive, but address I&I and the cost of transport and treatment of I&I towards to Fitchburg and Leominster. Mostly, I believe it was mostly Leominster because it's the Whalum area. So that would be my goal. We can talk about that some more, and I, maybe come up with some specifics. The report included some pricing for when it was done in not current numbers, so we can look at marking that up a little bit for inflation and cost of construction. But I think the per dollar savings and return on investment on some of those items was pretty clear that they should be, we should be addressing those. And so if that's I&I is part of the maintenance plan, then obviously that would be my first step. And we eventually you get into the bigger ticket items that don't necessarily have as quick a payoff. So it's the ones with the quick return that I want to hit first, and most cost effectively get those going, and then have a greater plan moving forward for some of the bigger things that also should still get addressed.
Thank you. I just want everyone to know as well that you kind of have a couple of things that we're looking at. One is we do have a capital plan. Capital money is going to be used to fund these projects. So I can't emphasize that enough. Capital plan money is used to fund Rob's plan for the maintenance. But then you have your day-to-day operation stuff. So I don't want to lose sight of that. That's in our budget already. That's in infrastructure, if I'm not mistaken, right, Barb?
Yes.
Okay, so we have two budgets going on here. We're taking the extra money out of retained earnings so we can start funding the larger projects. And again, I don't want to get capital expenditures mixed up with operational expenses. During the course of the year, this business is going to have some things on the course that we have to do. We just had a pump station go down on, which one was that, Rob?
Didn't go down,
The
but
pump station, the $14,000 repair.
yeah, that's Meadowbrook.
Meadowwoods.
I'm sorry. I'll learn these names eventually. Yeah, Meadowwoods, basically one of the two pumps is approaching its end of life cycle. And we got a recommendation from our consultant who's maintaining the stations that it's going to have to get done. So, we went ahead and got that pump. So, yeah, so those are the types of things that come up. And that unfortunately is a big ticket. It's a big pump. But I don't anticipate all, kind of, I won't call them emergency repairs, but maintenance repairs, not to be that much, but they can be. So, that's something we have to consider.
But we do have funds in there to handle our day-to-day stuff. So it's not, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page with that. And at the end of the year, I think we're all going to be talking about the same monies as capital expenditure versus fixed assets, or capital expenditures versus operations. And so I'm very happy the way we are, and we're starting to learn that part of the business as well. I know I went to John. Brett, do you have any questions in regards to this? I see you getting your finger ready there, so.
You're still
Nope,
mute.
you gotta hit it. Still mute, almost. It's like you're poking me in the eye.
I'm not- I hate technology.
You're on.
All right. Technology doesn't like me very much. I don't. I agree with what Rob says in a lot of ways. Sounds like the right approach to me. I did review a good portion of the maintenance plan. I only glanced at it today, but I look forward to digging into that deeper soon. That's all I have right
I
now.
think during the course of the year, we're really going to rely on, especially Brett, Mike, and John, for your expertise as far as what you do with your business and bringing those aptitudes to our sewer commission. So I'm looking forward to having you guys cut you loose, as I say, and really get into it. And if you could, I really like it if you could take a trip around with Rob and his 310 F-150 or F-50 and take a look at some of the pump stations. I'll give you an idea of exactly what you have out there and what you're doing. So this is going to be fun. It should be a good summer. And we get to learn a lot and have some fun too. I mean, we got to have a few laughs here. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But I'm going to rely on you guys to really start looking at the business, and your input with the businesses you have now are very important. And Mike, we saved you for last minute. So have any comments?
Not used to going last, but so I got a question about, or maybe a comment, suggestion, maybe for next week, if we want to start reviewing the maintenance program. If we can take it in chunks, and I know we talked about that as we're going to review it. We're going to take it not as a whole, but we're going to kind of segregate things out to look at. Dave, you mentioned looking at the I&I issues, and we also looked at what we got to do to update the pumps. So is there anything that we should be looking at and studying during the next up and coming weeks? So in the next meeting, that chunk is where we go first.
I think we're going to be looking for a game plan on how to attack it. But you bring up a good point, and I think eventually, Mike, I know you have experience in maintenance plans and that. And this board is going to be looking at you as kind of a leader on that. Take your experiences that you do now and help out the commission as far as educating us. To me, I would kind of separate it into sections and do the priority list. So probably the top 10 priority list is what I would look at, which would impact the budget first, so you get your good payoff. But again, we're trying to make sure we have preventative maintenance. But this is going to be a very good question for Rob. So there you go, Rob. It's yours. He's reading it real quick. There you go.
Yeah, well, I had my face in the maintenance plan while you were talking, so I apologize. I missed your question, Mike.
No, it's okay. My question was, we want to discuss, we want to start talking about it in the next meeting. So what do you think would be the best subject for us as a commission to kind of really study into? So next week, when we break it apart into chunks, we know like what's the best chunk where we're going to start.
Yeah, so in looking at the report, I mean, I would recommend reading all the sections, especially section 2, which is general collection system information. But outside of that, I think mostly what you need to look at is section 3, which is the inspection program, section 4, the maintenance program. And those are really the meat of where, kind of our day-to-day activities and what we're going to plan for and what we're going to, plan on doing in the system would be. So I would say focus on those, be familiar with everything. It's a good report. You'll learn a lot, and it's a good overview of the system. Although Barb and I did find a mistake that we have to get fixed, which kind of scared me a little bit, but focus on those sections, because that's, we'll talk about the things that should be happening out in the system.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're, everybody kind of is on the same page. All the commissioners are reading the same sections, and we're studying on everything. So when we have conversation, it's not like one person read section 2 and the other one read section 3, just so we can all come together and we've all read the same sections. I know we need to review the whole thing, but I think it'd be a little easier if we broke it down in the sections.
Ultimately, the plan, Mike, we're all going to have input on this plan, on the way it's going to be executed. Eventually, I think once we give our thoughts to Rob and Bob, it's going to be them coming back saying, okay, we're going to do it this way. Now, we have a question with that. We have every right to ask them that. But I think, again, working together on this with the expertise of what we have at DPW today versus what we're going ahead doing, I think we're in pretty good shape as far as that. But I do have one procedural question, and that would be, and I'm just talking hypothetical here, but we're giving you $100,000 to say. So I think before we say to Rob, hey, here's $100,000, go to Mohegan Sun, we'll see you later, or we're gonna have to get some sort of numbers on this. What's it gonna cost? At least budget numbers. And I don't know how you guys feel about that. Rob, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I was thinking earlier when we were talking about the budget, it's not, a blank check to the DPW to just do whatever we want. Typically with capital improvements and capital plan, anything over a certain amount, we're certainly gonna, or most anything, we're planning, we'll, plan on coming to the commission at a regular meeting and, presenting, this is what we do. This is what we'd like to do. This is, the estimated cost, or if I have a quote, we'll certainly, we're not just going to take on projects without your input and at least knowledge. And I assume you'll look to approve things. So yeah, it's not going to be willy nilly, shoot from the hip. You'll be involved, and we'll certainly keep you abreast of what's going on.
Anyone have any questions with that? No? Okay.
No, I just, one question for Rob. Did you throw out a challenge there to the commissioners to find the mistake that you and Barbara found?
I was just curious about that.
Yeah, well, let's see. It has to do with current events. That's current events for the Sewer Commission and the DPW. And we've actually mentioned it tonight. So if you can find it, I'll get you hard candy.
Okay.
Barbara, I'm going to call you after the meeting.
No cheating.
John will find it too. The maintenance plan, I would recommend that our next meeting on the 23rd, if we finished up if we approve the budget tonight, I think we're in pretty good shape. We may want to have a workshop on that the next meeting. Or I should say a mini workshop.
Or
I
what?
don't think anything, a mini workshop on the maintenance plan at the next meeting. Started off with the maintenance plan at our next meeting.
I can just put it
I don't
at the
wanna have a
top of
special
the
meeting.
agenda.
Yes, put it at the top of the agenda. I don't think we have a big agenda next meeting, do we?
Not at this time.
Yeah. You guys agree with that? Let's try to knock it out. Okay.
Yep.
All righty. Annual report. Did you guys see that annual report? It's like the history of the sewer commission.
Yes.
That's done every year. Jane, I think Jane, you did that. Jane, if you want to just shake your head. Did you write that up, Jane?
Yes, we
Okay.
did.
Basically, it's the history of the sewer commission over, it looks like the last 100 years, but we need, what do we need that for the town meeting?
It is the town report that comes out, usually
Oh.
at town meeting. It's handed out to every resident. It's all commissions, all departments. It's the town's budget. It's everything. It's for distribution to the town. And we always start it with that history because there are some people that may be new to town and not know the makeup of the commission. So it always starts with basic. And then we just try to review. And the thing that throws you off is that is the FY20 annual report, even though we're well into the middle of FY21. So there's no mention of Jack's retirement. I don't even think Rob is mentioned. So sorry, Rob, but it ends June 30th. So it may throw you off a bit, but you just go through and we see what the activities have been throughout that fiscal year to present to the town.
I think it did mention Jack retirement and Rob coming aboard. Jane, do you remember writing that in there? You didn't write that in? Oh,
I
maybe
might
I
have alluded to it. I don't know. I think we thanked Jack for his efforts.
Okay, maybe I read the sequel. I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyways,
Yeah, I didn't put that in because it goes until the end of June and you weren't even talking about it yet.
Right.
It was a busy year, that's all I know. Anyways, did anybody read that? Anybody have any comments on it? Like to close that out and submit it. Bob, did you like that?
Yes, I thought it was well done. I complimented Jane today on it. I thought it was well done. She captured a lot of items in there and I thought it was well written.
Yeah, I read it and it looks pretty good.
Okay. Then let's put a motion out there to accept the town annual report from the sewer commission for 2021. So I'm looking for a
So-
motion.
So motioned.
Okay, looking for a second.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? Jane, did you spell my name right?
I believe
Okay.
so. I believe she did.
Most of the
How
time.
many different ways can you spell David?
Okay, all in favor, Mike,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
and I for myself. Good job, Jane, very good. Next one is the review of the access to council policy. I know we're gonna hold that off until we have a full membership. And we don't have a full membership today. I know which way I wanted to vote. I'll leave it up to you guys. Should we wait or should we vote? And we'll start with Brett.
I'm afraid we should wait, I think. Make the most sense and be the right decision.
Okay. John
I'd like to wait until we have a full commission still.
and Mike.
I agree. I think we should have a full commission. That way there's no questions.
Okay, so that's for both saying to put that on the next agenda, but
Yep.
again, last on the agenda. But on there too, I want to make it clear that when we do this, and if it is passed, this will be permission. This is not someone coming in and say, hey, I'm going to talk to the attorney. It's going to have to ask, and we have a right to say no. So I want to make sure you guys understand that what the word permission is. Okay, and if it's abused, we can also deny. So, okay. Next one is minutes. Minutes from 126. Everybody reviewed the minutes? Okay, the only question I had was Jane, Mr. Luck stated, what did he state? I don't have him in front of me. Oh, that is, he was gonna leave after his term. Then he was advised that his term doesn't end until next year. And then I said, responded back that I want an answer from him as soon as possible, what his decision is gonna be. So can you throw that in the minutes? Anybody have any objections to that?
No.
All right. So I'm looking for a vote to approve the updated minutes.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes from the January 26th meeting with the corrections requested.
Second?
Seconded.
Look at Brett. Second. I have a third. I got a third. Okay. All in favor, Mike,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and an I for myself. Next subject would be business managers report. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, the only, I don't have much. I had the Fitchburg bill for usage up through, oops, what am I looking at? Sorry. Trying to find it. The period November, that's really true, yeah. November 26th through 12/25 for a total of $16,173.90. Just want to verify that with you. It is higher, but we also did start having some rain. So I just want to make sure that you are aware of the Fitchburg bill. Normally, if we were in person, we just have the chairman initial it, but I just want to make sure you're aware. It's what I expected. It's what the readings that we sent to Fitchburg, and she responded with a bill matching what I had sent to her. So.
Anybody have any questions on that? Bob, just a procedural question. Are we signing anything now? Is the town on out of docs or?
The commission is not yet. I have basically written in pencil a lot that when you've taken a vote, if I have to submit something, when people are back, I will check with town hall and see if we have to go back, even months back to sign now documents that have been processed already. So we are not on DocuSign. So
Okay.
we're just making a note that the commission has voted or approved or reviewed at this point.
Okay.
Okay. The only other invoice I had was Mead Tollerman, and I think I may have mentioned it. I'd gotten it the day before the last meeting. The invoice was for $1486.15, mostly dealing with all the issues that we had for 384 Mass Ave. We needed counsel for a lot of input, so that is what that's for.
Okay,
And these are just record only. This is basically the selectman's office sending out the information on the number of hours that the commission has used counsel and the corresponding charge. So we don't really have any input. It's what they've given us.
Okay.
Okay. And I think that was, and then as far as grease trap reports, the first Tuesday reports for January logs were due last Tuesday. We have received all but 3. One has already responded actually 2 have responded that we'll have them tomorrow. So usually it's pretty quick once we send a reminder.
are you sending notices out to the restaurants saying that we're gonna waive the grease trap policies again for them this
I
year?
haven't yet. I thought, because I don't have everyone's emails, when we do our permit mailing like we did for the last one, I'll just do the same thing. Send them the application and say at this time there's no fee. Commissions. We'll put it on our website
Okay,
as notice so that they're aware.
okay.
And that's my plan.
Okay, the next subject is members' agendas, input for future meetings. One of the things I like to see is an update on Mass Ave, the antique shop. Is that moving along or is that put to bed yet?
I have not received anything. I don't know. I don't think Rob has either. Rob?
No, I haven't. And given now that we have snow shortly after, Mr. Esposito agreed to take care of things, I would imagine it's going to be put off now for some time, probably till spring. But it's good to mention it and keep it fresh in everybody's memory.
Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to throw on for future meetings, follow up for future meetings, anything like that? Okay. I'd like to have any public comment from the public. Is there any public comment out there? And Mr. Passios, you're mute. I don't know if you want to say anything. You're the only public tonight.
I had my hand up and put it back down again. Can you hear me okay? I turned the microphone up a little bit.
You gotta buy one of these mics. I could give you the link on Amazon, but yeah, we can.
Yeah, I'm on my laptop. Normally at home, I'm on a better mic. Sorry about that. Yeah, I just wanted to make a very brief comment, as I did a couple of meetings ago in regards to access to town council. I think it's, again, a very important tool for me, sitting on a number of elected boards, appointed boards and commissions and committees. We're not all legal eagles, and there's a lot of questions that come up in individuals' minds as boards and commissions are making decisions or trying to move in a certain direction. I do strongly agree that right or that privilege should not be abused. So I'm following what you guys are doing and the discussions you're having. There's nothing I strongly disagree with at this point, but I am following it just to be sure that your policy doesn't drag other boards and commissions down a rabbit hole that we don't want to go through. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Public? Nothing? Before we finish up with the board, let's go back to the budget, for example, for a second. I know we're going to take a motion. Did anybody think there for the last half hour about the budget? Does anyone have any other questions?
The only comment I would have is, I don't know if anyone had a chance to look at the graph that Carl put together a few times. The last one was in 2019, projected retained earnings. I think it's a pretty useful tool. I'd like to see it become done on a regular basis. I know Barbara, you plan on doing that. And I know you're under a time crunch, but I just would like to see that become done on an annual basis.
So you want to include that in our budgets every year or maybe every 6
Well,
months?
I don't know if we have to include it in our budget, but probably at the time of budget discussion, it might be a good idea to have that.
Anybody else see that from Carl? A line budget. How far are we on projections on that, John?
No. I'm looking at what was projected retained earnings back in, I believe it was 2019. I can't give you the exact number, but it looks like maybe 750,000. Obviously, we're a little higher than that right now. But still, I just might view it as a useful tool when we do the budget.
Something that's very, I mean, I like looking at numbers of where we were, why we missed them, or why we're ahead. Sometimes, being ahead is just as bad as
Right.
being behind. So,
Right.
I mean, you might want to add something there. But no, that's a good comment. Anybody else? Okay. Trying to think if I was going to say something. Not here. Upcoming schedule for the sewer meeting is going to be February 23rd, 2021, 5 p.m. the regular meeting. With that, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Dave, can
Yeah.
we put a motion that we're gonna put forward the budget?
I
Is
was
that
gonna
what you
say
were?
that.
Yes,
Okay.
that's how we did. Yeah, okay, well, let's go back. Let's talk about the budget. I'm looking for you want a motion? You want to make it official or just a recommendation?
I'd say a motion to put forward to the town manager.
Yeah, that. Anybody want to make a motion on
I
that?
make a motion that we put forward to the town manager the budget as discussed and agreed upon tonight.
Looking for a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor? Mike,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
and an aye for myself. Congratulations, Rob, and Bob, good job on the budget. I'm glad this is done for the year. Now I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. And I think, Mike, you made the motion, right? And Brett seconded it? Is that right?
If I didn't, I'll do it now.
I'll do it again.
Do it again. Do it again.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay,
I'll second that motion.
okay, no discussion. Mike,
Nope.
Brett,
Aye.
John,
I agree.
and an aye for myself. Be careful out there, guys. I know the roads are in great shape. And we wish you all a great evening. Thank you very much. Night,
Night,
everybody.
everybody.
Thanks. Good night, all.
Thank you.
Night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good job, Bob.
Yep, bye-bye.
You too, Jane.